Hello and Happy New Year, everyone. I am making a journal that I'm going to swap with Tamara at Tattered Tammy, and I decided to make it out of a recycled Amazon bubble mailer envelope. I like using both kinds, but I prefer using the paper ones. They're just a little bit easier to work with. I have some fabric here that is like a botanical floral print, and so this will be a botanical themed journal with flower pressed specimens and things. So I love to use glue sticks to put the fabric down onto the bubble mailer once I have everything cut to size. I trimmed the bubble mailer to 12 inches long by 9 inches high, and I have already trimmed and ironed my fabric as well. I like to either use pinking shears or rip the fabric. And the easiest way to do it, honestly, is to turn everything over and glue it down like this. And as you can see, best intentions don't always pan out. Even though I ripped the fabric, which should create 4 very straight lines, it is a little bit wonky on one corner. So I will try again to lay it down to make sure maybe I didn't have the fabric stretched out right. But in a moment you'll see that I do decide to trim the fabric to make it more uniform on all 4 sides. I flip it over on back and front to make sure that it adheres, and here I am just trimming off maybe 1/8 of an inch until it reaches the length at the other end of the journal that I want. And I'm pulling threads now to make it appear like it has a raveled edge from ripping the fabric. This is just a little bit tedious, but it does create that look like the entire length of the fabric was torn and not cut. I fold it afterwards to make sure that it's creased well. So because this bubble mailer is dark and has dark print, and I'm using a light colored fabric inside, I have to put some white copy paper to hide all of those marks. Otherwise it will show right through. So again, I use my glue stick, and 8.5 by 11 paper will not quite fit. Obviously, this is a 9 by 12 journal, so I'm going to sort of piece it together as I go. This not only hides the background for lighter colored fabrics, it also provides another layer of fullness and stability for the journal. You don't have to do this on the inside only. If you have a lighter colored fabric on the outside, you can do the same thing on the outside as well. I'm a little bit off camera, but I'm just making sure that I have that strip trimmed to the edge of the brown. Now I'm going to cut another piece going the other way, and I realized that my paper that I had left was not wide enough, so I had to use another piece. And I'm just piecing this down to make sure that all of the brown is completely covered. Making another crease. Here is the fabric that I've chosen for the inside of the journal. I have a bit of trouble with this fabric as well. First thing I'm doing is ripping the edge off. I do save those thin strips. They're perfect to go into tags later. But as I ripped this, I realized that maybe the fabric was not 100% square when I started on all 4 sides, so I end up having to rotate it and rip 2 more pieces than I originally thought. You'll see that in a moment. It's fine if it's a fabric like this that's not oriented one direction. It matched at the bottom, but as you can see, as I went toward the top, it was not wide enough. So I was forced to turn it, scrap my first try, and try again. The little pieces curl up, so I'm pausing it in just a moment so I can go iron everything down. And here I have it ironed, placing it down to make sure it fits, and it looks great. I'm trimming off a few stray threads that are left over, and then I will get to the tie closure. I have chosen some butternut colored grosgrain ribbon. It's about 3/8 of an inch thick, and I usually cut about 12 to 15 inches or so, leaving about 3/4 of an inch to be glued down underneath that fabric layer of the journal. I use Fabri-Tac for this part of the ribbon because I do not want it to be pulled out later. And I'm just measuring right into the center of this side. This glue stick is on its last minute or two, so I'll have to stop and grab a new glue stick in a moment. You may choose to use Fabri-Tac for all of these steps, and that is entirely fine. Because I end up going back and sewing the edges of my journal, at least the soft covered ones, I don't usually use Fabri-Tac for that part. When I make a 2 or more signature journal, I do. And that's just to make sure that everything is adhered as well as possible when I use batting or another material in the middle. I'm making sure nothing is sticking up over the other fabric on the front. Time to sew, and I'm going to choose an olive green thread and a zigzag stitch that's about 2.5 settings width apart and about 3.5 height. And here it is. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this was helpful.